Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So in today's video we'll be talking about what does it mean when only the bottom leaves of my succulents are brown and dry. So what happens over here is when the leaves of the succulents are suffering from stress, that is from drought, meaning that you have been underwatering your succulents excessively, that is when the succulent starts to use the water from the lower leaves. It's usually the lower leaves that they tend to use and discard them at an early stage. So as soon as the succulent feels like it is getting into a drought situation or there is lack of water, it will start taking up water from the lower leaves, because eventually when the succulent tends to grow, the lower leaves are the ones that tend to dry and fall off first. So during this process the succulent is very intelligent enough to take the water from the lower leaves, and over the period of time these leaves will turn brown and they will turn dry. And in nature as well, this is the same process, because in nature there is hardly anyone to water. They belong to an arid condition. Dead leaves, they tend to get collected beneath the succulent, like we spoke in our last video as well. Now this dry leaves, they can provide a humus rich soil for the succulent, which also tends to retain water, and then this water is consumed by the succulent, because in nature there is infrequent rains. At times it might rain once a month, or at times it might not even rain for a couple of months. So these dry leaves also tend to give a little bit of nutrition to the plant. So in wild, these dry leaves, they give a little bit of nutrition to the succulent. Apart from that, it also tends to retain a slight moisture because the environment is dry, so that it can overcome the drought situation. However, in most of our conditions it is not that dry, because a lot of us tend to have either rainfall, snowfall, so there is moisture around. So if you are from a very humid environment, if you are going to leave these debris under the plant, if you're not going to clean those dry leaves, then that will definitely, either it is going to attract pests or it is going to attract fungi or mold, which can attack your entire plant. So this is what it is all about. If you tend to see that the leaves are getting dry very frequently, because naturally a succulent will have dry leaves, probably one or probably two, depending. A healthy succulent will always have a dry leaf, maybe one or two. But if you tend to see that this is happening in excess, then probably you are not having a balanced watering. Probably you are underwatering your succulents a lot, and that is when your succulents will have a lot of dry leaves. Now I too have a lot of dry leaves. Now all these dry leaves were taken from these succulents. Probably every succulent had one or two or three of them, so I tend to clear them so that I do not have any issues with fungi or mold that is going to grow, or any pest issues with the succulent. So I tend to clean them every now and then. Whenever I see that there are more than 3 or 4 of dry leaves, I tend to collect them and take them out from the succulent, as you can see over here as well. Now for this guy, the leaves are getting dry. Now it's not because of underwatering. The succulent is well hydrated, but the issue over here was I had done a stem cutting. They have very small little roots which are not completely developed. As I've said that I always let my succulents air root. The moment I see 1 or 2 roots, I put them into the soil. So the same thing happened over here. I have put it into the soil, but because the succulent roots are not completely developed to take up the water, the required amount of water, the succulent requires more water and the roots are less in number. So in this case, the succulent is taking water from the roots. At the same time, the succulent is also taking water from the lower leaves. At the same time, it's also getting adapted to the new pot. And that's the reason why you can see there are a couple of dry leaves in this pot, because the succulent is getting acclimated. At the same time, the succulent is taking water from the lower leaves, because the main roots are not completely developed yet. So it's a very natural process. You do not need to be worried. But if you tend to see that on a frequent basis you tend to see a lot of dry leaves, then you definitely need to check on your water. So that was all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep planting.